So this time we will go through and talk about, as Jay mentioned, our 3 core transfer factor products, and talk briefly about some of the, call them offshoots, if you will, to these ones. But this is the core of 4Life. And so kind of using that immune IQ along with this kind of ramp up, amp up, and blast off terminology is kind of just a way to help you kind of get a little bit of a picture on the level of immune support associated with each of these 3 products. So let's kind of start off with the beginning, right? 4Life began with Transfer Factor Classic. This is the product company started off with. It is the transfer factors from cow colostrum, the only transfer factor source in this product. We call it the ramp up. This is a good introductory product for people that are new to transfer factors and that are kind of, especially those that are dealing with a number of other stresses at the time. This is a great product to introduce people to. It is the gentlest of our transfer factor offerings. And again, a great way just to kind of get people and their bodies used to having some additional transfer factors around. And so people new to the company, a great way to start. Doesn't mean you can't start with the other ones. But again, this is kind of the safest, gentlest way to do it and has the mildest impact on immune system support. Moving up the ladder then to the amp up side of things is the trifactor formula. We talked a little bit about what this is last week, and that now you're getting the transfer factors from the colostrum, transfer factors from the egg yolk, and then those extra nanofactor molecules that are kind of there to aid with the coordination and overall efficiency of your immune. And one you can certainly begin your transfer factor journey with. It has a little bit broader range of those transfer factors coming from the 2 different sources, so it is a little bit more of an immune support product than the classic, offering just a little bit stronger immune support there. And then all the way up to the blast off side of things is Transfer Factor Plus. This is our flagship immune support product, has the most immune support components in it. Here again, you're getting that same trifactor blend that we just talked about in the last product, but now we're adding to it what we call our Cortivant blend. So this is a mixture of a number of different mushrooms, some olive leaves, some zinc, oats, baker's yeast, a number of other good immune support ingredients. So I kind of like to compare this one to, you have that kind of command and control transfer factor, that education, the kind of direction that comes with that. And now you have a lot of kind of your strengthening and general support ingredients in here. So this is one that both strengthens your immune system and improves its efficiency and intelligence, if you will, in how it responds. So it's a good 1-2 punch, a nice synergistic combination of ingredients. A lot of the Cortivant blend stuff you will see in other immune support products in the marketplace. Of course, the big difference there is you don't have that intelligence, that education that comes with the transfer factor. So not only do you have a strong immune system, you now have an intelligent and well-directed and focused immune system. A very good combination. And I think that's why you see in the research that we're talking about here next, why Transfer Factor Plus seems to perform the best in just about every situation we've put it in. So with that said, let's talk a little bit about the research behind these 3 products and some of the things that we've seen. Now this one, you kind of have to flip your understanding a little bit here. Normally when you see a chart, you're thinking going up is better. In this case, going down is better. And we're looking at helper T cells in particular. And this is somewhat of an artificial environment in that we've taken these helper T cells out of a healthy individual, and outside the body, we've given them this chemical that stimulates their activity. It isn't really, it's not an immune threat, so they're not really responding to a potential infectious agent or anything like that. It's just a chemical that activates the immune cells very non-specifically, but very highly. So it's easy to then measure and see the impact. So you take these helper T cells, you put in this chemical, their activity goes way up, and then we add in the different transfer factor components and see what it does to that activity. Right now, that chemical has no known threat to the cells, but for some reason they still respond to it. And so it's in some sense, a misdirected response. It's not a threat, but they're still trying to get rid of it. They're still responding to it. So by adding in the different transfer factors, you can see that it calms things down. So the first one is looking at just plain colostrum, and then you have the trifactor, and then lastly, that small blue bar on the end is with transfer factor plus. And what you're seeing is that there's an ability in here to calm that overactive response, kind of reset those immune cells back down to a resting state. So I'm more or less saying, look, it's helping the immune system be able to correctly identify that this compound is not an actual threat. There's no reason to be active at this point. And again, you can see here that with the transfer factor plus, that has brought it back down to pretty much the resting state. So where that orange bar you see there, that's where the cells are without any kind of stimulation, their normal level of activity, and plus is able to bring them back down to that level. So here you're seeing an ability for the immune cells to take over, or for the transfer factors to help the immune cells start from an overactive state, coming back down to a resting level when there isn't a true threat present. One of the other studies we've done on this is looking at the immunoglobulin A. This is an antibody that your body produces in quite large amounts, in gram quantities throughout the day. And it is the antibody that lines all of your respiratory and your digestive tract, and is really one of those first lines of defense for your body. It's there to kind of catch and bind on to anything that might be a potential threat to your body, preventing it from crossing through those mucous membranes into your body and potentially then leading to an infection of some sort. So immunoglobulin A, IgA, is one of those things your body produces quite a bit of to make sure that all of those linings are protected and coated so that you have the best chance of surviving all the things that you're breathing in, that you're eating, all that kind of stuff. And we saw that with the trifactor products, in this case, it was actually Rio Vita that was in the study, and the trifactor in particular, that you saw about a 73% increase on average for the people that were taking these products for just a few weeks. And so that's showing that your body is able to better protect itself and to maintain your health by just increasing the amount of immunoglobulin A that's produced. And while we're on the Rio Vita side of things, you kind of lump that one in with the trifactor camp, right? That is the transfer factor that's in it, but now you have those super fruit juices that have the antioxidant and other benefits to it. But as far as immune support goes, it's the same as the trifactor product. And that goes for whether it's the juice, the gel, or the sticks. So then lastly, we're going to talk about the most recent study we have, and this was done as part of our development with the prebiotics product. And we looked at all the different prebiotics we have in there and what effect they have on the growth of the probiotics that are in that product. While we were at it, we decided, well, what does transfer factor, in particular, what does the trifactor blend do to the growth of these bacteria? And lo and behold, just like the prebiotics, transfer factor, trifactor formula has a prebiotic effect. And you can see here with the different bacteria, the different strains that are in the Prio product, how much they were able to stimulate the growth of those bacteria. So they went up as high as 868%. So nearly 9 times the stimulation of the growth of these bacteria. So that's a pretty substantial benefit there. So not only does transfer factor have direct effects on your immune cells, but it's also aiding in the health and the growth of your microbiome. So kind of another additional benefit associated with those, which still has some far-reaching benefits in terms of immune support. So direct effect on immune cells, stimulates the growth of friendly bacteria within the gut, 2 different ways that 4-Life Transfer Factor helps to support your immune system. And there you go. There's our top 3 transfer factor products. Some great ones to use to introduce, and certainly any of those 3 are a fine product for folks to join if they're normally healthy with no major concerns. And certainly Transfer Factor Plus is probably your best product to introduce people to.